When I transmigrated into this world, the story was already nearing its end. The gloomy girl I personally redeemed 5 years ago had now fallen into the mud, battered and bruised all over. I spoke as if I didn't care. Why, without me around, did they really mess you up this badly? She suddenly looked up, her eyes instantly turning red. When you weren't here, they all bullied me. I stayed silent. In the end, I couldn't bring myself to shake off her hand. Yet late that night, I accidentally ran into her, stomping the female lead under her foot. Her voice as cold as ice. Idiot, didn't I tell you to go all out? If I don't bleed a little more, how would he feel sorry for me? Chapter 1. The sound of a wine glass shattering echoed from the top-floor presidential suite, mixed with sticky, labored gasps. Through the half-open door, I saw a girl with features so exquisite they were almost bewitching, sprawled on a crimson velvet sofa. Her black dress had been roughly torn open, exposing her collarbone. Her pale skin was flushed with an unnatural heat as she breathed heavily. Blood dripped from her wrist, drop by drop, winding into a glaring trail of red. Willow. The moment I called her name, Willow stiffened violently. Her lashes, stained with blood, trembled. When she lifted her eyes, the bruised finger marks on the side of her neck shifted into view. As if afraid of disturbing a beautiful dream, she turned her head back mechanically, inch by inch. The instant she saw me, Willow's pupils shrank sharply. The violent expression on her face froze in place. Brother. That trembling cry, thick with tears, made my heart seize. 5 years ago, when I left this world, she had clung to my waist just like this, burying her face in the hollow of my neck and sobbing. Even you are going to abandon me too, brother. Willow staggered as she tried to stand, only to crash heavily onto the floor covered in shattered glass. I rushed over instinctively, but she suddenly shrank back into the corner of the sofa, coughing violently. Dark red liquid seeped through her fingers and dripped down. She struggled to pull her hand back. Strands of hair soaked in cold sweat clung to her pale face. She looked like a shattered porcelain doll. Dirty. It'll stain you. I crouched down, hearing my own voice tremble. Who did this? In the original story, her right hand injury had only been mentioned in passing, yet the wound before my eyes was so torn open that bone was visible. She suddenly let out a low laugh. Her thin shoulder blades rose and fell with the sound, like a butterfly with broken wings. When you weren't here, everyone bullied me. I clearly listened to you, brother. I fixed myself. So why are they still treating me like this? She tilted her face up, tears rolling down. They said you didn't want me anymore, that a kid like me, who nobody wants, deserves to be bullied. My heart clenched hard. In the original story, Willow was a ruthless, mentally unstable villain. She and the female lead were both orphans who grew up in the same orphanage, once the closest of friends, but by a cruel twist of fate, the female lead was adopted by a wealthy couple in Willow's place and went on to live a blissful life. Willow, on the other hand, was adopted by a hypocritical piece of trash. After enduring endless torment, she escaped and ended up living on the streets. Willow believed the female lead had stolen the happy life that should have been hers, and thus became a villain who opposed her at every turn. After I entered this book, I took 16-year-old Willow home and raised her myself. My mission was to redeem her broken life and rewrite her ending. After the strategy was conquered, I was forced by the system to leave this world, until last night, when the system sought me out again. It told me that Willow's world was showing signs of collapse due to the loss of control of its key characters and urgently needed correction. Under my guidance, Willow had clearly become an outstanding, well-rounded, model student. So why hadn't the plot changed? She was still crushed at every turn beneath the halo of the main cast, nearly ruined beyond repair. To make things worse, the system malfunctioned. No matter how I called for it, it wouldn't respond. Why was this happening? According to the plot, she was supposed to be drugged tonight and fall completely into darkness, but right now, her eyes held only confusion and helplessness. She was clearly still that little stray kitten I had picked up and brought home. Before I could think any further, Willow's suppressed, beast-like sobbing pulled me back to reality. Unable to endure it any longer, I wrapped her tightly in my arms. I didn't abandon you. I'm back, she said. Then, can you help me? Her eyes lit up instantly. Her sweat-damp forehead rubbed gently against the hollow of my shoulder. I said, what do you want me to do? I heard my own voice turn hoarse. It's so hot. A kitten-like whimper spilled from Willow's throat, guiding my hand as she explored. Kisses landed one after another along my neck. A scorching heat suddenly pressed into my palm. I leaned back instinctively, only for her to grip my waist and pull me closer. Geo. Chapter 2. The next day, when I woke up, I felt as if my body had been hollowed out. My lower back ached so badly that even standing upright took effort. The doorbell rang several times before I finally managed to open the door, bracing myself against the wall. Willow. I thought it was Willow coming back, but a completely unfamiliar face stood outside. And you are? Hello. My name is Sophia. If I'm not mistaken, you're George, Willow's brother, right? The girl in front of me was wearing an expensive-looking dress, her proportions flawless. It took me a few seconds to react before I remembered that Sophia was the female lead's name. What do you want with me? A trace of hostility surfaced in my eyes. Sophia froze for a moment, and her expression actually looked hurt. I'm only here to remind you that Willow isn't as harmless as you think. This is all an act she puts on in front of you, especially after you disappeared 5 years ago. She almost went mad and did a lot of utterly deranged things. She pushed a document folder across the coffee table toward me. These are the records of how Willow has been suppressing me over the years. Just last week, she acquired 3 of my subsidiary companies. Those reports about her falling from grace and being beyond recovery from long-term illness were all public opinion she deliberately spread. In truth, it's not me bullying her, it's her who refuses to let me go. Dense lines of data on the stark white pages filled my vision. I set my teacup down hard on the table and said coldly, "Ms. Kim, please leave. With your status, fabricating these things wouldn't be difficult, no matter what. I only believe what I see with my own eyes." Sophia Kim stood up and stared at me intently. "Brother, you've been fooled by her." I frowned and spoke. "I'm not your brother. Please don't address me that way." Sophia opened her mouth, her voice rough with strain. "Sorry, I was too anxious just now. I truly mean no harm, and I'm not here to sow discord. I'm just worried about your safety." Willow's mental state is extremely unstable. She even shows signs of self-harm. I flung the document folder straight at Sophia. "So you're saying she drugged herself and injured herself like that?" "Sophia, let me tell you this, if you dare touch Willow again, I'll drag you down to hell even if it costs me my life." A flash of helplessness crossed Sophia's eyes. "I really didn't. If you don't believe me, you can verify all of this evidence yourself. I'm just worried about you." The folder fell to the floor, several photos scattering out. They clearly showed Willow cutting herself, identical to the wounds I had seen last night. My breathing stalled for several seconds. I blinked slowly and bent down to pick them up. A door unlock beep sounded. "Gio, your favorite pastries, I brought them back for you. The shop on the west side of town closed early today, so I ran across 7 streets too." Willow's excited voice abruptly stopped when her gaze landed on Sophia. The air suddenly froze. Soaked from head to toe, Willow stood in the shadow of the entryway, the food box in her arms still perfectly intact. Her head was lowered, droplets of water sliding from her hair tips onto her trembling lashes. I loosened my grip, and the photos fell to the floor with a thud. "Willow, listen to me." Willow's eyes dropped to the photos, and she looked as though she might shatter on the spot. She walked toward me slowly, her eyes reddening as she asked, "Gio, even you don't believe me?" "Willow." Sophia suddenly grabbed her arm. "Stop pretending. That smuggling shipment at the docks last month, that's enough." I stepped in front of Willow and cut her off. "Willow, go change your clothes. Ms. Kim, please leave. I don't want to see you again." Sophia let go weakly, yet her eyes never left me as she spoke. "George, actually, you used to hold my hand too. Do you really not remember me at all?" I froze for a moment and asked hesitantly, "Do we know each other?" Willow looked up at her, her voice unsteady. "Sophia, my brother is all I have left. Are you going to steal even him away from me?" Chapter 3. Sophia was driven away by me. Willow clung to me tightly like a small animal lacking any sense of security, refusing to let go. I patted her on the head. "It's okay. I won't be fooled by her. I'll always believe you." Willow let out a soft hum, reluctantly loosening her grip. "Then wait here for me. I'll go down to the convenience store to buy some spoons. I was in such a rush to come back that I forgot to take them." "All right, go ahead." Wait, you didn't bring an umbrella again." Willow was walking too fast. By the time I reacted, she had already disappeared through the doorway. Letting out a helpless sigh, I could only grab a jacket and chase after her. The rain was heavy, blurring my vision. I stood at the intersection, searching for Willow's figure. Through the crowd, I caught sight of that familiar silhouette turning into an alley. I hurried after her, but from far away, I heard the dull thud of a heavy body slamming into a wall. Willow's smiling voice drifted over with the sound of rain. "Ms. Kim, don't you ever learn?" I instinctively slowed my steps. The scene before me froze me in place, a chill running through my entire body. Clear raindrops slid down her neck and into her collar. The white dress clung tightly to her waist and abdomen, faintly revealing the outline of bandages beneath. Expressionless, she lifted her foot, her high heel grinding down on Sophia's fingers. Sophia Kim's face twisted in pain. She coughed up bloody foam, yet still forced herself to speak. "I knew it. You're deliberately trying to win his sympathy." Willow's gaze instantly darkened. "Shoo." The sharp tip of a steel pen pressed against Sophia's throat. "Only I get to call him brother." She tilted her head and laughed softly. "I told you, didn't I? Anyone who dares touch what's mine, Sophia instinctively turned her head aside to dodge. Without warning, her eyes met mine. Panicking, I hurried a few steps back behind the wall, unsure whether she could recognize me through the heavy rain. Sophia's tightly clenched fist slowly relaxed. She lowered her eyes, the corner of her lips curling up almost imperceptibly. Willow snorted coldly. What? Scared now? Why are you so weak today? Last time, didn't you almost throw me off the rooftop? The next second, I heard Sophia's fragile voice. I don't know what you're talking about. Haven't you always been the one beating me up unilaterally? Cough, cough, it hurts. Is anyone there? Help. Chapter 4. Raindrops shattered into countless flecks of silver beneath the red and blue lights of the ambulance. I stood at the mouth of the alley, gripping my phone, watching the paramedics lift Sophia onto a stretcher. Her raven feather lashes fluttered weakly under the relentless rain. Faced with a situation like this, I couldn't bring myself to simply look away. The patient has suffered a heavy impact resulting in fractured finger bones. She needs surgery immediately. The nurse's voice cut through the rain. 3 fingers on Sophia's left hand were twisted at a grotesque angle, and the wound on her forehead had been washed pale by the rain. My pupils trembled. I turned my gaze away, unable to bear looking any longer. A strange, aching tightness welled up in my chest. Had I really misjudged her? I felt a scorching stare on my back. I turned around. Willow's umbrella suddenly appeared above my head, shielding Sophia completely from the rain. Why is brother here? Her breathing was hurried, her black, choppy hair drooping limply from being soaked through. My eyes swept over her sleeve cuffs and paused for a moment before I looked straight into her eyes. There was a dark red stain there, like blood diluted and spread by rainwater. I waited too long and got worried, so I came out to look for you. For a split second, Willow's expression stiffened. The rain was too heavy. I went to buy another umbrella, so that delayed me. She quickly returned to her obedient demeanor, curling her lips into a smile. Gio. I knew Gio loves me the most. A staff member walked over with a clipboard and clicked a ballpoint pen. Sir, were you the one who called the ambulance? Willow jerked her head up, shock flashing through her eyes. The sound of rain suddenly seemed deafening. I heard my own calm voice. Yes, I saw someone was injured. The staff member asked a few more routine questions, then nodded politely. All right, understood. Thank you for your cooperation. Throughout the entire process, Willow was so quiet it was as if someone had pressed a mute button on her. I didn't look at her again and turned away. On the way back to the hotel, Willow stayed half a step behind me. Not a word was spoken. The elevator's mirrored walls reflected her lowered profile, water droplets rolling down from her lashes. Staring at the changing floor numbers on the electronic display, I finally spoke. Willow, why did you attack Sophia? I didn't go all out. I just wanted to scare her. I wanted her to stay away from you. But she suddenly picked up a brick from the ground and smashed her own hand. I closed my eyes briefly, on the verge of breaking down. Willow, as far as I know, Sophia has practiced piano for 10 years. With injuries like today's, she might never be able to play again. No performer would willingly gamble the rest of their musical career like that. In the original story, Sophia was exceptionally gifted in music. She had already won countless piano awards back in middle school. The air fell silent, with nothing left but the sound of breathing. Willow suddenly grabbed my wrist. Her fingertips were ice cold, ripples flickering in her dark pupils. Gio, are you suspecting that I'm lying? The elevator chimed softly as it stopped on the 28th floor. I gently pulled my hand free and stepped out first. Willow, I just can't figure out her motive for hurting herself. She had no reason to do that, did she? That alley had no surveillance cameras, and Sophia didn't even have grounds to accuse Willow of intentional assault. So why would she do something so self-destructive, hurting herself just to take someone else down with her? Chapter 5. I came out of the bathroom. Willow was still squatting by the table, staring blankly into space, like a child left alone after school, with no one coming to pick her up. Hearing the noise, she stood up. She must have held the same posture for too long. Her legs had gone numb. Willow staggered, and the food container slipped from her hands and crashed onto the floor. The porcelain spoon struck the edge of a plate with a sharp, brittle sound. She froze, then slowly squatted back down, kneeling amid the mess of spilled food. Her eyes rimmed red. The curve of her exposed spine at the back of her neck looked fragile. Willow's voice was hoarse beyond measure. I'm sorry, I messed things up again. It felt as if a needle had pierced my heart. I let out a breath and hurried over. It's fine, we can go buy another one together tomorrow. Stand up first, let me see where the cream got on you. As I crouched closer, a faint metallic scent reached my nose. The hem of Willow's loose hoodie had flipped up, and fresh blood was seeping through the gauze at her waist. How did the wound split open again? It had clearly been fine when we got back. Willow looked like a child who had done something wrong. She lowered her head deeply, her voice muffled. I don't know. It just suddenly started hurting really badly. But it's okay. I can handle it myself. I'm used to being on my own anyway. Don't move. I tore open the first aid kit. The moment the alcohol-soaked cotton pressed against the wound, her entire body trembled violently. I suddenly remembered 10 years ago, 16-year-old Willow curled up under a bridge, burning with fever, yet gripping a box cutter tightly in her hand. Back then, she didn't know how to act soft or play weak like this. She was like a feral cat, baring its fangs at anyone who came close. I sighed, seeing through it but not calling it out. I'd raised her myself. Even if she'd done something wrong, I couldn't truly abandon her. Besides, before finding solid evidence, I wouldn't jump to conclusions. Keeping my distance was just a warning. If the violent impulses buried deep in Willow weren't restrained, they would eventually lead to disaster. And Willow knew this perfectly well. The cotton swab was suddenly grabbed. Her fingers slid up along the inside of my wrist. Her scorching lower abdomen pressed against my calf. The heat burned through the fabric, straight into my skin. I was wrong. No matter what, I shouldn't have hit someone first. You taught me that violence isn't the solution. I remember all of it. I ignored her, focusing on bandaging the wound. Willow edged closer again, aggrieved, accusing me with her eyes for ignoring her. The smell of blood mixed with the damp air after the rain, spreading between our lips and teeth. I hissed softly and frowned. Are you a cat now? You even bite people? Yes, I'm your kitten. She carefully cupped my face. Our noses touched. Then don't be mad at your kitten. Okay. Chapter 6. At 3 in the morning, I heard the soft click of the door. My heart sank. I took a deep breath and followed. Willow's car was parked outside the hospital entrance. The inpatient corridor was soaked in cold white light, the sharp smell of disinfectant stinging my nose. From around the corner came the sound of glass shattering. I followed the noise and, without warning, ran straight into a pair of reddened eyes. Sophia was half reclined against the hospital bed, breathing with difficulty. She lifted her face, her lashes casting fragmented shadows beneath her eyes. The moment our gazes met, Sophia's eyes lit up. Brother, how did you know I was here? Like someone facing a fragile treasure, wanting to touch it, yet afraid it would vanish at the slightest contact. Did you come here just to see me? I pressed my lips together before answering. I was passing by. So that's how it is. She tugged at the corner of her mouth, bitter and self-mocking. Then I won't keep you. Go get some rest. Sophia suddenly broke into a violent coughing fit, the 4 lines swinging sharply with the motion. Do you need me to call a nurse for you? I stopped, my hand tightening slightly around the door handle. Her oversized hospital gown was bunched up, revealing a thin, bony arm. That was when I noticed the round birthmark on her wrist and froze. A corner of my memory was abruptly pried open. The day I took Willow in. On my way to find Willow, I had run into a little girl who had gotten lost. Her expression was numb, and on her wrist was a birthmark just like this one. Big brother, I'm really hungry. Can you lend me 5 yuan? My watch is very expensive. I can give it to you as collateral. I bought her some Odin and asked gently, where are your mom and dad? I had an exam today and didn't get first place. Mom told me to walk home by myself. Where do you live? Dolphin Gardens. I could hardly believe my ears. Dolphin Gardens was at least 15 kilometers away from the elite school printed on her uniform. Are your parents crazy? Your home is in the suburbs and it's this far. What if something happened to you? A flicker of confusion surfaced in the girl's eyes. But Mom said if I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to be her daughter, and I have to be punished. She pulled open her collar. The burns on her collarbone were twisted and vicious, like poisonous vines. Just like when I practice piano, every time I play a wrong note, I get punished with a cigarette. I called the police on the spot. Then I phoned her mother and scolded her nonstop for 3.5 minutes. If she hadn't hung up, I could have gone on cursing her for 3 days and 3 nights. Before leaving, I took off my jacket and wrapped it around the girl's trembling shoulders. You're already amazing. Never doubt yourself. Sophia's dark eyes rippled with a star-like smile. So you finally recognized me. It turned out that the female lead's life wasn't as glossy and perfect as it looked on the surface either. I hesitated before speaking. Were your parents still that strict with you afterward? No. That's good. Then, because they're dead. There was no emotion in her eyes. What? My pupils shrank slightly. A chill crept up my spine for no reason. The corners of Sophia's lips curved into a faint smile. Did that scare you? It was a car accident. An accident. Something no one could have predicted. Sophia lifted the hand wrapped in plaster and gave it a small shake. Could you help me pour a glass of water? All right, George. She stopped me again and said. So I was only trying to repay a kindness. That's why I kept reminding you to stay away from Willow. I really don't have any bad intentions. Something stirred in my chest. I paused mid-step. I understand. I walked into the adjoining room. The thermos let out a low hum as steam drifted upward. I took out my phone and searched the news. April 1, 2029. The chairman of Kim Group and his wife were killed on the spot in a traffic accident. The driver is suspected of drunk driving. Their adopted daughter, Sophia Kim, has become the group's sole heir. In 2029, Sophia was exactly 18 years old. A dull bang from a door slamming shut suddenly sounded behind me. I snapped back to my senses and hurried out. Willow was standing with her back to me in front of the hospital bed, sneering, addicted to playing the pitiful act now. What a shame, this trick only works when I use it. A clown trying to imitate Dong Shi. Glass shards exploded at our feet. Sophia staggered forward, shielding me behind her. Her back slammed hard against the wall. George, look carefully, she won't even spare me when I'm hospitalized. She's completely insane. If you stay with her, you'll be in danger. And you heard it too, didn't you? She admitted it herself. She's been pretending to be pitiful in front of you all along. Willow grabbed Sophia by the throat with one hand and slammed her against the wall, her thumb pressing viciously against the rapidly throbbing artery as she said, "Gio, she did it on purpose, again and again. She's been creating misunderstandings between us. Look, she sent me messages. She used you to threaten me. That's why I showed up here." Willow pulled out her phone, but no matter how she searched, she couldn't find the chat record she was talking about. Panic surfaced in her eyes. "Brother, that's not it. I'm not lying." Willow stared at me, violence churning in her pupils, something I had never seen before. All of this is her scheme. She's deliberately provoking me, trying to make me lose control. That's enough. I grabbed her wrist, her knuckles already white from exertion. Her whole body jolted, and her hands dropped abruptly. "Willow, you've disappointed me too much." Willow looked at me in disbelief, her voice trembling. "I didn't." I pointed expressionlessly at the glaring bruise marks around Sophia's neck and said, "This time, I saw it with my own eyes, and you're still trying to argue." Chapter 7. Sophia called the police. The hospital room surveillance captured the entire incident. The evidence was irrefutable. At the police station, "Mr. Wong, regarding this case of intentional injury, we need you to cooperate and give a formal statement." Sophia turned her head to look at me and said softly, "It's okay if you don't want to say anything. As long as you're not put in a difficult position, I'll be fine no matter what." I replied, "I'll tell the truth." A news alert popped up on my phone. Lu Group's stock plummets. Genius investor Willow Lu suspected of intentional assault. Summoned by police. My chest felt tight. I picked up the pen and signed my name on the statement, my knuckles turning white from the force. Sophia looked at me with concern. "I'll have the driver take you back to the car first. I'll handle the rest on my own. If you're willing, you can stay at my place for now. After all, it wouldn't be safe for you to go back alone, and you might even face retaliation from Willow." The system still hadn't come back online, leaving me with no disposable financial resources in this world. Finding temporary work on short notice wasn't realistic either. "All right, thank you." After thinking it over, I nodded. The driver respectfully led me to the parking lot. "Please wait here for a moment. I'll bring the car around." "Okay, not far away." Willow stood with her head lowered on the steps. Her black coat was soaked through, rain darkening it to a deep gray. Reporters' microphones were practically shoved into her face. "How do you respond to the allegations of intentional assault? What kind of grudge do you have with Ms. Kim? Is it true, as rumored, that you suffer from a mental illness?" Suddenly, she lifted her head and looked in my direction. Her lashes clumped with droplets, rain or tears. "Impossible to tell. My brother said I was wrong, so I was wrong. I admit everything." Her voice cut through the rain curtain, hoarse as if scraped raw by sandpaper. "Miss Lu has a brother. What is his relationship to you? Would it be convenient to reveal his name?" The shudder sounds erupted in rapid succession. People shoved and squeezed forward. Willow stumbled back, her lower back slamming into the sharp edge of a nearby door handle. She let out a muffled groan, yet stubbornly lifted her face, her gaze piercing through layers of rain to land on the shadows where I was hiding. Blinding headlights flooded my vision. The driver tapped the horn. After a few seconds of silence, I opened the car door and got in. In the rearview mirror stood Willow's rigid, upright figure. Chapter 8. Sophia's villa was in Dolphin Gardens, the very same house she had lived in as a child. The glow of the crystal chandelier reflected off the floor-to-ceiling windows. Mounted at the center of the wall was an enormous black and white memorial portrait. A strange unease crept up on me. My fingers unconsciously rubbed along the rim of my teacup. The tea had long gone cold, reflecting Sophia's figure as she walked over carrying a fruit platter. "Would you like to try some jade pomelo? It was airlifted in this morning." She knelt halfway onto the carpet, carefully peeling out the translucent flesh. "I heard you like pomelo." I took it, then couldn't help asking, "Your adoptive parents didn't treat you well after they passed away. Why did you still choose to live here? And even hang such a huge memorial portrait?" Logically speaking, people usually avoid places that cast long shadows over them. Sophia lowered her head, the emotions in her eyes obscure and unreadable. They did raise me, after all, I think. I still need to remember them. I looked at her, unable to pinpoint exactly what felt off. What is it, George? Nothing. My gaze flicked to her hand wrapped in plaster, and I deliberately changed the subject. You should go have your dressing changed. Are you worried about me? Ripples stirred in her eyes. A fluffy little dog ran in and leapt straight into my arms. So cute. I picked it up, momentarily not paying attention to what she was saying. Is this your dog? Oh, what did you just say? Sophia's expression dimmed slightly. Nothing. My adoptive mother left this dog behind. When it gets excited, it doesn't know its own strength. Be careful not to get hurt, brother. Without giving me a chance to respond, she took the dog from my arms and handed it to the butler. Take it outside. I didn't think much of it at the time, but the next day, no matter how hard I looked downstairs, I couldn't find the dog. The butler hesitated, clearly conflicted. What's wrong? Mr. Wong, the dog passed away during the night when we found it. It was lying stiff in the grass. Wasn't it perfectly fine last night? It was probably sick. After all, it was already quite old. I didn't reply. Yet Sophia's gloomy eyes from the night before flashed through my mind for no reason. A sense of foreboding coiled upward like a venomous snake. I curled my fingers slightly. In that case, I understand. I'd like to go out later to buy some flowers for the dog. Of course, I'll notify the driver right away. No need. I'll go by myself. Moving quickly, I packed a small backpack and headed out. Taxi. I stood by the roadside and raised my hand. A yellow car pulled over. Just as I reached to open the door, a sudden force yanked me inside. My mouth and nose were clamped shut. The next second, my consciousness went black. Chapter 9. My consciousness was hazy. I struggled to open my eyes and realized I was inside an abandoned building. Exposed rebar jutted from the ceiling, rust-colored water dripping down. Sophia was bound with her hands behind her back to a load-bearing pillar, blood still seeping from the wound on her temple. It took me a moment to react. She had been kidnapped too. Why are you here as well? Sophia turned her head toward me with difficulty, the chains clanking loudly with the movement. It's Willow's retaliation. I didn't expect her to calculate even you. Before she could finish, the massive door was shoved open with a deafening crash. Masked kidnappers dragged their batons inside. Don't be afraid. Sophia's blood-stained hand cupped my cheek. George, I won't let anything happen to you. A heavy boot slammed into her abdomen. What are you yelling for? Neither of you is getting out of here. Sophia let out a muffled groan and collapsed against me. Who sent you? It was Willow. Right. Tell Willow to get her ass out here and see me. The veins on Sophia's neck bulged visibly even under the dim lights. Still got an attitude. Huh. I'll show you attitude. Go on. Scream. Keep screaming. The iron rod crashed against a metal drum with a thunderous clang, rattling my eardrums. Enraged, the kidnappers struck even harder. Sophia curled into herself and slowly shifted position. Her hands, twisted behind her back, groped until they found mine. Something cold slid into my palm, a shard of broken glass. I instantly understood her intent. She was deliberately drawing the kidnappers' attention by shouting, giving me a chance to cut the ropes. This is illegal. If something happens, Willow won't be able to protect you. Do you know who I am? I've been missing for a day already. The police are on their way. The kidnappers laughed darkly and grabbed her by the back of the collar, dragging her toward the edge of the floor. Oh, still got time to threaten us? That depends on whether you've got the life for it. The knot around my wrist loosened. Catching it from the corner of her eye, Sophia suddenly slammed herself into the lead kidnapper, pinning him hard to the ground. Run. Don't worry about me. Hurry up and call the police. I didn't move. I simply looked at her quietly. Sophia Kim froze. George? I slowly stood up and kicked away the rope at my feet. Had enough of acting. I raised my phone and played the evidence I'd gathered over the past few days at the Kim residence. Her expression stiffened instantly. So, you orchestrated your adoptive parents' deaths. All those times you got hurt in front of me were just self-inflicted acts to gain sympathy. And Willow's descent into darkness, you pushed that along too. Sophia let out a sickly low laugh. But you still went soft, didn't you? Otherwise, why would you be willing to act this play out with me? I tugged open my collar, revealing the microcamera hidden inside my necklace. From the moment I agreed to go home with you, I was waiting for this final scene, the one that would crush you completely. I just didn't expect you to lose patience so quickly. I only pretended to notice something off, and you panicked. Her face darkened bit by bit, settling into an eerie calm. You suspected me all along. The kidnappers tried to approach, but Sophia stopped them with a gesture. I shook my head. Your plan was airtight. You reinforced my suspicion of Willow step by step, strengthened your own righteous image, and advanced layer by layer. As long as I ran out now and called the police, combined with the 2 prior accusations you'd laid out, claiming Willow committed intentional assault, the police would definitely conclude Willow had motive. And I would be the most convincing witness. Then why? She curved her lips bitterly, staring straight at me. I answered softly. Because I never stopped believing Willow. Blood dripped from Sophia's jaw onto the floor. She suddenly started laughing. A vacant, obsessive laugh. Laughing. She pushed herself up from the ground. An almost deranged possessiveness brewed in her eyes. Why? Why does she get your love? When I was the one who met you first. Chapter 10. Sophia staggered onto the swaying steel beam, the night wind lifting the hem of her clothes. With her arms spread wide, she looked like a crane with broken wings. Tears streamed down her face. Do you know? I love you more than she does. Why can't you just look at me? She nervously bent and counted her fingers. Since you came back, you've had milk tea 3 times, 70% sugar, no ice. The day before yesterday, when you dried your hair after a shower, 18 strands fell out. Her eyes were red, filled with despair. No one cares about you more than I do. I looked at her and cut off her rambling. Sophia, love isn't like this. She suddenly laughed, her frail body swaying unsteadily. You're lying. Willow is even darker than I am. To keep you. She didn't hesitate to hurt herself like that. Her fingers plunged into her hair, unconsciously clawing her black strands into a tangled mess. Bits of concrete crumbled and fell. 5 years ago, when the system made you leave, Willow was clearly reluctant to let you go. But for you, to let you return to your original world and reunite with your family, she chose to let go. With tears all over her face, she hugged you and told you to live happily. A sour ache rose in my throat. And you? Whether it was the puppy or Willow, you were obsessed with destroying everything that drew my attention. The system malfunctioning, that was your doing too, wasn't it? Only the female lead would have that kind of ability. Love is respect, not destruction, and certainly not possession. Her oppressive upbringing had twisted her personality beyond recognition. She didn't understand love at all. Sophia's pupils shrank sharply as she let out a beast-like howl. No, that's not it. Stop, Sophia. Turn yourself in. You did something wrong. You can slowly make things right in the future. Okay. An explosion echoed from below. The moment Willow kicked open the iron door, Sophia suddenly lunged forward, grabbing me and dragging me toward the edge of the rooftop. With her back against the rusted railing, she pulled out a gun and pressed it to my temple. The same filthy blood flows through Willow's veins as mine. You think too highly of her. Let's play one last game. George, guess whose heart this bullet will pierce? Let him go. The police will be here any moment. Don't do anything stupid, Willow said in a low voice. I could see her lips trembling slightly. Sophia laughed. Step back. Willow did as she was told. You want to save him, don't you? I'll give you anything you want. Then I want your life. Willow looked at me without hesitation and accepted. I'll give it. I struggled, my eyes burning red. Are you insane? The kidnappers pinned me down tightly. Sophia tossed the gun over. Willow caught it steadily. There's one bullet inside. Aim at your heart and pull the trigger, and I'll let him go. Of course, you can choose to shoot me instead, but if I fall, I'll drag George down with me, and he'll be smashed into pulp. Willow stared at Sophia and asked coldly, what if you don't keep your word? Sophia curved her lips. You don't have the right to bargain right now, or are you going to gamble with his life? Willow cocked the gun cleanly and aimed it at her own chest. No. My legs gave out. I could barely stand. Willow met my eyes and smiled. Gio, don't cry. I told you, I only want you to be happy. Everything else doesn't matter. The next instant, she pulled the trigger. My heart stopped for a split second. My vision went blank. Willow. What I feared never happened. Willow slowly opened her eyes. There's no bullet in the gun. I could no longer hold myself up and collapsed to the ground. Sophia's hands at her sides trembled violently, moisture glistening in her bloodshot eyes. George, was I really wrong? But I really couldn't control myself. I just wanted to lock you up. I wanted you to belong only to me. I gasped for air, still unable to recover. Sophia looked down at me and took step after step backward. I realized what she was about to do and lunged to grab her. Our fingertips brushed past each other. Her body falling backward from the rooftop looked like a butterfly with shattered wings. Her final smile froze at the corner of her lips. I stood there, frozen, my whole body shaking. Willow wrapped her arms around me from behind. Sophia's voice dissolved into the wind. So good. For this 1 second, he was finally looking only at me. Chapter 11. Everything finally settled. The world returned to its proper course, but Willow grew more and more uneasy with each passing day, until the date coincided with the very day I had left 5 years ago. When I got home, I saw Willow sitting dazed on the sofa. The moment she heard the door open, her eyes reddened. Thank goodness you came back. There's still time. At least, eat the cake before you go. She fumbled nervously with the packaging, opening the box as if presenting a treasure. Only then did I finally understand her strange behavior these past days. She was afraid I would leave again. Yet she didn't even dare to ask. I reached out and pressed down on her trembling hand. I'm not leaving. The porcelain spoon clattered onto the teak floor. She bent down mechanically to pick it up. Her voice hoarse. You don't have to pity me. I can take care of myself, really. I crouched down and cupped her face. In my original world, I only had my grandmother. Last year, she passed away, so I no longer have any ties there. I've already told the system, I'll stay here forever. She snapped her head up, turbulent emotion surging in her pupils. The cake box tipped over. I sank back into the sofa, sweet cream spilling all over me. Willow pressed down on me, fitting perfectly. Please say it again, I said. I dipped my finger into the cream and brushed it across her lips. I'll stay with Willow forever. The last syllable was crushed into a sticky, lingering kiss. She licked the cream from my chest with the reverence of a child unwrapping a gift, but when her teeth grazed my collarbone, she suddenly froze. Does it feel good? Warm. Damp breath spilled over flushed skin. I looked it up. If you do it like this, will it feel really good? I rubbed her hair and teasingly bit her earlobe. You looked it up? So our little kitten has wanted this for a long time. Her body tensed, and she let out a low laugh. What do I do? I've been found out. The sound of fabric tearing mixed with slick, breathless noises. Willow straddled me and kissed me fiercely. The air heated up. The cream continued to melt. She leaned down, completely losing control. Kitten's going to eat you up, every last bit.